This is AI.R. Artists in Residence Broadcasting, coming to you once a week from New York City.
Hello, I'm John Cullum, and this is Emily Frankel, my wife.
I am your wife. I remember this morning when I was looking down the steps and you were bringing up my coffee.
Yes.
And a bagel.
We
had bagel and coffee for breakfast.
That's about it.
And I remember the very, very, very first time you came to this building. You weren't sure where we were. You knocked on the door.
No,
I buzzed
that's not the way it happened.
Well, anyway, the
you
first time...
You remember it differently.
Well, you're going to tell us what you remember. But I remember John coming here like the man who came to dinner.
Right.
He came here the very first time, and he never left.
That's right. That's true.
Okay, now what do you remember?
I remember you had left me your address and telephone number, and I was supposed to call you. And I'd been to a party with the company down that you had come down and we'd met at in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I walked by this address, and I happened to be living on the same street, a few blocks
in some
west.
old cheapy boarding house.
Yes, it was about a 6x8, just enough room for a little bed and with my suitcase and stuff underneath it. Well, anyway, I walked by this and I looked up and I saw that must be Emily Frankel's house because I had the address in my head. And I started whistling Chucky Jack. You remember that?
I remember.
Yes, I just whistled it, and you were up on the top floor, and I kept walking, and then all of a sudden I heard this patter of dancers' feet right behind me, and I turned around. There was this red-headed wraith tearing down on me, and she grabbed me by the hand, took me upstairs where her sister was staying with her, talking with her, who didn't like me at all.
Oh, my sister was staying here.
She was visiting you.
Ah, yes.
And you kicked her out. And we won't go into the details.
Isn't that funny how he remembers me kicking out? I would not kick out my sister. I love my sister.
Yeah, well,
but
you
I also
kicked her out.
I remember you were carrying something, a bag.
No, that was the next morning. We went to Coney Island. That's the only time I ever remember you wanting to go to Coney Island. It was Sunday. And we went to Coney Island, and we spent the day there. We came back here, and you said you wanted to see where I was staying. And I said, no, you don't want to see where I'm staying. And you said, yes, I do. And I said, no, kept knowing. And I kept on walking down this street, and you kept following me. And we went into this dreary place where there was the men's kind of hotel with just the little alcoves for guys to stay in, and you walked into my room. You said, you can't stay here. I said, what do you mean I can't stay? This is where I'm going to stay. And no, you said, you can't stay here. You pulled out my bag. You started packing all this stuff. I've got plenty of room in my studio.
You know, I don't remember this.
You don't remember? Well, I remember it vividly. And I kept saying, I can't do that. No. And you just said no. The next thing I know, I had my pack on my back, and we were walking back to your place, and we went in, and that's when I never left.
Well.
Okay, that's the story.
Well, I remember John, first time he came up the red steps. I'm not going to tell my version of the story because it's different, but I remember seeing John coming up. The hallway has pink and orange walls, and he was coming up the pink and orange walls. No. And well, can I say my version?
Yes, you can.
I won't say my version.
No, please. I want to hear your version so I can correct it.
I saw this man, and I thought he was beautiful. I thought he was so beautiful.
She was very prejudiced, and I'm so glad she was.
And I liked him. And I saw him coming up the steps, and I thought, he belongs here. He really belongs here.
I must have.
And yes, that's what I remember. The sense of, as he came up the stairs, I thought, this is my man.
Gosh, I didn't know all that.
I did. It was a big love thing. Well, John, I can't help it. That's the first time you stayed here was the first time, and you stayed here, and you never left. And I'm glad. Well, thank you, John, for telling your version of the story.
Okay, I like both versions.
Okay.
And I like being here, and I'm glad I never left.
Okay.
And I never intend to.
Okay.
All right, well, that's all we have to say, and that's a lot more than I expected to. But enjoyed talking to you again, and we'll see you again next week, okay?
This is AI.R. See you next week.